Alright, so it is time to go over another cameo for use with Shang Tsung. Chameleon came out today, so we're going to be going over her uses with Shang. We will talk about how she operates in general. We'll talk about each of her moves individually and how they fit into Shang's game plan. And then we will go over my overall thoughts about Chameleon and what the best uses for her are, and whether or not I think she is a good addition to a team with Shang as the main. So, the first thing to discuss about Chameleon is just the basic structure of how this cameo works. As you've probably noticed while we've been sitting here, she has been periodically changing between each of her three disguises, is what they call her stances. As you can see in her move list, we have Jade disguise, Mileena disguise, Kitana disguise. And each of these changes something close to every 6 seconds. I'm not 100% sure what the exact time is, but it's quick enough that it can get in your way and slow enough that you can definitely use the move that you intend to use if you time it right. And it is not random. The order that she switches in, it goes Kitana, Mileena, Jade, Kitana. In that order every time. You start the match with a random disguise, but then the order they switch in from there is always the same. So you're not getting random things, you're getting a timed change. You're also able to change it manually. Anytime you use a move that Chameleon has, you can hold down the cameo button and she will change to her next form and start that timer immediately. Even if the timer was almost up, she will start the timer from the beginning on the new disguise. You can also always press her back cameo, which gives you this same move, Broken Mirror. Every single disguise has this move. And this move always changes which disguise she's in when you do it. So, if you want to change your disguise, you can press back cameo to do this at any time because it is an ambush. It does not stop you from moving around or anything like that. And it is worth knowing, however, that this move can actually miss your character. See, she did it. She still changed her disguise. It still fired, but because Shang was not in range of it when she fired the move, it didn't actually give me the benefit of the move. Now, the thing to know about this move in particular is that it has a crazy fast recharge. So you are spending half your cameo to do this, but it's recharging so quickly that it almost doesn't matter. So this is a reliable way to shift disguises if you are looking for a different assist than the one that you have access to right now. And her quick recharge time is almost universal. This glaive is the slowest recharging move she has. As you can see, it's not exactly slow. It's probably somewhere in the middle. That fan toss, same thing. And the Mileena disguise has a ball roll that has a little bit of extra recharge on it as well. We'll showcase in just a second when it switches over. There we go. That one probably has the slowest recharge of them all. But the ambush moves that Chameleon uses, which Jade's glow there recharges crazy fast. Kitana's super jump recharges crazy fast. And Mileena's size recharge crazy fast. So, Chameleon, because of this fast recharge rate on many of her moves, is one of the most available cameos in the game. Even though she's a little bit on the inconsistent side. So each disguise comes with one summon and one ambush, like I just showed you. The slower recharging ones are the summons, and the faster recharging ones like that are the ambushes. And the ambushes are always forward cameo, and the summons are always neutral cameo. Now, you can also see that each of them has a different throw. So each disguise has its own throw. That's Kitana. That's Mileena. And here's Jade. Now, if you hold the Kameo button at the end of the throw, you can have Chameleon change disguises as she disappears from the throw. So, basically anytime she's on screen, you can decide to change her disguise. The best throw is easily Mileena's, but we'll go over that as we talk about each disguise in turn. For now, we will talk about her only universal move, which is Broken Mirror. Broken Mirror right here. Doesn't matter what disguise she's wearing. She comes out, gives you this effect, and then changes disguise. Now, you can see it lasts for a little while, and what it does is it makes you take half damage on the next move that connects with you. So, have Liu Kang do simple jab, and you'll see I take 20 normally. I take 10 with the mirror. This happens on block as well. So, on block, I take 3. Now instead I take 1.5. And either way it breaks the mirror, whether I block or get actually hit. So, this move is mostly good for changing Chameleon's stance, but it can be used particularly well by Shang Tsung because it is great when you are in a zoning war. You do something like this and trade projectiles, you'll only take half damage, they'll take full damage. We already have high damaging projectiles as Shang, so it's just fantastic. It also lets us control which Kameo we're in, because say we want the super jump now, we can get easy access to that. And if we don't get hit, it's not a big deal. The cooldown is so quick that we don't feel bad about not getting the actual effect of this move when we use it. The biggest downside to it is only that Chameleon will often miss this move if you're doing something that has a lot of forward momentum because it takes so long to start up. And it is not a good way to escape from a combo or anything like that because it does not change hit stun reaction. You can have Liu Kang do an actual combo like that, and you will see that Chameleon the Broken Mirror does not stop us from getting hit by all 3 moves, and only the first hit is going to take less damage. So it's not something that we're doing in order to try to stop combo damage. It's something that we're trying to do usually just to switch disguises, but sometimes to make projectiles deal less damage because we are willing to trade projectiles. And sometimes it'll save you if you think you're going to get poked. If the only punish somebody has available is to counter poke or something like that, you can take less risk on things like that by having Broken Mirror active. So, the next thing to talk about are her stances, her disguises. And the first one that I will talk about is Jade. Jade has her glaive, which is a projectile that hits you once and then comes back and hits again. And it is a mid, and it gives you either a ton of frame advantage or a full combo on hit. Or on block. Now, as you can see, one of the things that is different from Serena's knives is that if Chameleon gets hit, the glaive disappears. It will not come back if Liu Kang punches Serena, or punches Chameleon, rather. See? Glaive's not coming back. But if we turn off that, we can say that the glaive will in fact return to us like that. And if the second hit of the glaive connects, we will have a ton of frame advantage on block. So, do something like that, and then we can say, do whatever kind of block string we want. This is more powerful than Serena Knives in the sense that that projectile is a mid, both when it leaves and when it comes back. But the downside is that you can get jabbed out of it both before the projectile comes out, which is the same as Serena, or after the projectile hits the first time, your opponent can jab you with a punish, and then they can, and even if they can't punish you, even if Shang is able to block, he will hit Khameleon, and that will prevent the glaive from coming back. However, there is another feature of the glaive, which is that if you hold up, you can get different arcs on the throw. So, here's the neutral Kameo, no buttons held, that's what happens. Here's if you hold up. And here's if you hold down. Here's if you hold forward. Here's if you hold back. So, if you think your opponent's going to jump or something like that, you can arc the glaive differently. And in fact, you kind of have to, because its standard arc is low enough that people might be able to jump it successfully. Another feature of the glaive is that even from full screen, it can be used to start high damaging combos. That was just the easiest one to do with Shang. You're able to do his highest damage string, even if you catch your opponent full screen with the glaive. So anytime the glaive connects, you're doing good damage, and that's just how it works. The biggest upside to this, in fact, because this glaive gives you so much more time than Serena Knives, is that you can actually form steal off of the glaive. Like that. So, you can do a grounded form steal extension against any opponent you want, and finish the combo route as them with an already high damage route going, which is very, very powerful. It's something you usually only get from Sub-Zero or Frost to be able to do grounded form steal routes. Now you can do it with Chameleon's glaive, and that is something unique to her that she offers to Shang Tsung. And you also don't need to combo using a projectile when it hits from full screen. You can just close the gap and hit them with melee moves. The other thing that Jade's disguise offers you is her glow, which anybody who has played another Mortal Kombat game will recognize and be upset about. This is projectile immunity. It is... You are immune to projectiles completely for as long as it lasts. They will go right through you. Much like Sub-Zero armor, except for there is no limit to the number of hits in this scenario. So, when you get your glow, you do that. Nope. Projectile goes straight through you. The only way for the projectile immunity to end is for your opponent to hit you. Any hit will do the trick. So, if you're projectile immune, and then your opponent sweeps you, you're not projectile immune anymore. So something like Kano, or Sector's Teleport Punch, things like that will break this projectile immunity the same way that they break all other projectile immunities. But this is a particularly good projectile immunity. It lasts a reasonable amount of time, and the Kameo comes back so quick, and if you're afraid that she's going to switch disguises before the time is up, you can just do it again, because it comes back so fast that you don't need to worry about not being able to use the other form. The projectile immunity is very, very good for Shang in particular when you get into zoning wars with people. You get to do this, and just whatever he does, I don't care. He can throw his projectiles. It's not a big deal. You have to be conscious of the time limit, of course. So, when you find yourself in a zoning war with people, especially people who have things like crushing projectiles, you can use this glow to make it so that even if you're not trading well with them frame-wise, you won't be taking damage, and they will be wasting meter and getting a lot fewer frames than they thought they would be getting by hitting you. So it's fantastic in zoning wars. It's going to beat Kung Lao Hat. It's going to beat all the crushing projectiles from Liu Kang, Sub-Zero, Tanya, Sindel, all those people, Quan Chi, and any other full screen shenanigans. And Jade's throw is a pretty decent throw. As you can see, it does 130 damage, which is above average. It's a good throw. It has 7 frames of hit advantage, and we're at full screen. So this is a great distance for Shang. And we have frame advantage, and we're ready to fire out our skulls now. Or we can go into a ground skull, try to meaty our opponent. And we did a bunch of damage off the throw. Not a whole lot more to say about it. So, next we will move on to Mileena's disguise. I think Mileena's disguise is perhaps the least consistent, but both of the moves are very useful. We have roll right there. As you can see, it does go full screen, just like all of the summons do. And we have the air sigh, like that. Now, air sigh is her ambush, so it's probably intuitive at this point to anybody who's watched my other videos that we can use air sigh to create form stealer combo. And then when they're up there, we're going to call the sigh. We can do it pretty late. After we see the ground skull hit, we can go into the sigh and then form steal and do our opponent's specific move. As you can see, it's not hard to connect a form stealer combo after air sighs. It also just lets us cover a ton of the screen, which in Shang's case is not super necessary because we already beat jumping pretty much all the time with triple skull or double skull. However, there are a couple of matches where it does come in particularly handy, which is against people like Natara or Smoke or, to a lesser extent, Omni-Man. People who really like to jump and stay in the air for a while. Liu Kang can also do this, actually, although Liu Kang's fireballs might actually beat Chameleon in the air or trade with her, which is fine, honestly. His fireballs will do a lot less damage to her than her size will do to him. So it's a fine trade. But anybody who likes to stay in the air for longer than just a standard jump, we can really deny a lot of that airspace by calling in the Mileena size. So it's not just a combo tool, but it is mostly a form stealer combo tool. But the thing that Mileena offers that we really like is her roll. As you can see, that was an overhead mid. And that those overheads come out in 18 frames, which is nice and quick. And that ball roll, which is the mid, leads to a full combo. So, when your opponent blocks you, normally they're going to block low because they're afraid of Shang doing something like Bed of Spikes at the end of his strings. Like that. And normally this is one of Shang's few options for ending the combo with a mix-up. He can basically just go low. But when we have Mileena, we can instead do this and go to an overhead. An 18-frame overhead is not reactable. Anybody who says they can react to that is not telling the truth. The bed of spikes is also not reactable at all at 8 frames. I've never even met somebody who would claim they could react to 8 frames. So, technically this is fuzzy guardable. You can guard low and then guard high, cover both options because the overheads will come out 10 frames later than the low would. But this is disorienting to anybody who hasn't thought about it or labbed it, because the low has a lot of recovery, so it looks like it takes a long time. But the overhead looks like it takes a long time because of its startup, or it looks quicker because of its short recovery. And you might have it in your head that it's actually the reverse of what it is. You might look at it and think that the overhead comes out faster than the low, and you would be wrong. Which would mean that you would get hit every time for a full combo. So, the roll is punishable on block. It is something heinous, -17, I believe. -17, this is the spacing. Pretty much everybody in the game can punish this. They can dash up and jab you. They can probably even just use a mid. Many people have mids that would space this well. So, it's a risk, but you do have access to a mix-up that's at least unreactable, even if it isn't unbeatable. And because it is a double-hitting overhead, armor will not be beating this move. You can turn on Enhanced Dancing Dragon. Get Mileena out here. You see he tried to armor, and now he gets full combo punished for trying to armor. So, if your opponent gets fed up with getting mixed by Bed of Spikes and the overhead, and they don't know how to fuzzy it properly, they're probably going to try armoring out. And if they try armoring out, then the overhead wins. And this is something that Shang normally really doesn't have access to as a way to consistently break armor in his gaps. And the Mileena disguise gives him that. The other thing about Mileena is her throw. I think that the Mileena disguise has the best non-amplified, non-cameo use throw in the entire game. If you don't want to spend any resources, I think this is the best throw you're ever going to get. It is 90 damage, and it leaves your opponent jailed for 31 frames standing. So you can walk up to them and do anything you want. You do not have to worry about armor. You do not have to worry about any tricks that your opponent has up their sleeve. They're jailed. Walk up there. You don't have to worry about them crouching. You can walk up there and do your standing 2-4. You can do that. Just like that. Your opponent has to respect it. So they can block or they can die. That is just a fantastic throw. The low damage is not a big deal at all. Throws in this game don't deal crazy damage like they used to in MK11. And sacrificing 20 damage so that you can get 31 frames of jailings, it seems like a fantastic trade, especially when it costs no meter or cameo. So when you are in the Mileena disguise, you're probably going to want to throw people a lot. You can also throw them with the Mileena disguise and then go straight into Mileena's roll. Mileena disguise roll. If you don't misclick the change. You go, there you go, you get stabbed, she disappears, now I call her again into the roll. And now we're at a spacing where there's no way you can punish the roll. So here I can just resume zoning again if I'd like. You can also go into Shang's forward 3. This is a very easy thing to jail into with Mileena's throw. With particularly Shang, if you just do a micro dash into your forward 3, get a full combo for the low. You could also do it with young Shang to get his overhead. You can go like that, and then just say, nope, we're doing the overhead today. It's very, very good. And now we're going to move on to the final form for Khameleon. We're going to go to her Kitana form. This is the form that I think has the most potential and is definitely the best for Shang. So, Kitana's summon is the least exciting move of the two. Here we go. It goes high, mid, and it's -6 on block, which is actually fantastic. We get a safe ender that will combo on hit. This move will send your opponent for a juggle. If the mid and the high hit, the high is actually a projectile. And if both the mid and the high hit, see, that's what happens if only the high hits. But if the mid and the high hit, then you will get a juggle. Now, mid-screen, that juggle is basically just going to get you into a fireball, your ground skull. It is not going to get you a brilliant... Yeah, you can do that. You can do the mid-ground skull into EX far ground skull and drag them back. It's not a high damage combo, but the fact that you can get it with a safe on block move is what's appealing about it. So you're never going to fire this instead of using ground skull to begin a combo. Instead, you're going to use it when your opponent blocks and hope that they get hit anyway. And when you're at a distance, Fan Toss can be used as a projectile. Like that. Does 50 damage and it's knockdown. So in that way, it is a good projectile. It gives you a knockdown. It's a high, people can crouch it, same as most projectiles anyway. And it doesn't add a mid to your zoning game, but it adds a ton of frame advantage on hit. And there are scenarios in which it becomes extra good for zoning wars. So if your opponent's going to fire Cosmic Flame like this, we're going to say... Now you see what happened there was the fireball that Liu Kang threw hit Chameleon and did less damage than I would have taken if I had blocked it. And then Chameleon's projectile hit Liu Kang and knocked him down, gave me a ton of frame advantage. Which means that as he stands back up, he basically has to accept my triple skull or my ground skull. And if he tries this again, I can do the fan toss again. Chameleon stays on the screen for kind of a while because she does her mid attack first and then throws her projectile. And while she throws the projectile pretty quickly, she's on the screen long enough that it's pretty easy to get Liu Kang to hit her instead of Shang. And she stands in front of us for a long time. So that is an interesting application of fan toss that you might not have considered if you were just thinking about it as a combo extender. This move also beats armor when it's used in a block string because it has 2 hits, same as the Mileena roll. So I'll demonstrate here. As you can see, full combo because you tried to armor out of my gap. So, even though we don't actually have an overhead low mix, we do have a way to mix you up if you keep trying to armor us. Again, something Shang normally just doesn't have. Or he has to use EX spinning spikes to do it, and he has to go through complicated age transformations to make it happen. So maybe it's not a good extender for Shang, but it is a good way to crack certain strategies and give us a safe ender that combos on hit. So the other move that Kitana has, and the real feature that we've all come to see, is her super jump. This move is fantastic. It has 3 different distances. You can do it close, you can do it standard, or you can do it far. Show you what each of those look like. Here's close, here's standard, and here's far. These all have applications, and they are all incredible. This move is an ambush, which means that it doesn't matter what Shang is doing, you can interrupt what he is doing with fan toss. As you can see, this is just amazing. Full screen. The most obvious application for this is that for Shang, at full screen, you can combo from your triple skulls. Do something like, if you time it properly, you can definitely get in there. And hit your opponent. Now, I haven't nailed down the timing or anything, but it's definitely possible. So getting combos off of your straight skulls, and these will be full combos, these will be full jump in like this. You're going to get your optimal damage. It's going to be absolutely gross. This is something that normally you're doing only off of Motaro teleport in the past, but it's the same idea because the super jump interrupts the animation and recovery frames of Shang's skulls. He can now act much quicker than he would have been able to act if he actually recovered from the skulls completely. And this applies to all sorts of moves. If you want to recover early from this, you can do that too. If you want to recover early from your throw even, it's possible. Now, I'm not 100% sure if you can get combos from a throw off of Chameleon. With Shang, in particular. But you can definitely find a timing that makes it look possible, like right there. So, this is the sort of thing that you're going to want to take to the lab and make sure that you know how to do every weird trick with fan toss that is available. Fan lift, rather. Fan toss is the one we're not excited about. Now, it's easy enough to mess up your inputs here, but the key thing to know is that we have a lot of new choices. Now, when we're in melee, we still have a lot of new choices from this move. It gets better. Well, maybe not better, but it stays good. We can use our spinning spikes, cancel the animation into a jump, and safely and ready to zone again. We can we could end our spinning spikes with a close one and go into mix-ups. We could end our spinning spikes with a medium one, go into a throw. We could end our spinning spikes with a close one and go into a and we can end our spinning spikes, go into a low. The possibilities are really endless with this. And you should definitely find any move you can, see if you can make this jump cancel work, because this basically just lets you jump cancel every single move in the game. Doesn't matter what you're doing, you can jump cancel it. So get in there, find moves that you can make jump cancel into a bigger combo. almost certainly you could use this off of EX injection to continue the combo. Yeah, if you aim it correctly, I'm quite certain you can continue the combo. Yep, there it is. So you can make your EX injection combos, you can make all sorts of silly combos, and if you're using your opponent's character, you can still make silly combos, I promise. Liu Kang can combo off of his throw using this. Lots of people can combo off their throw using this, I'm confident. It even looks like Shang can, but I can't nail the timing down at the moment. So, this move is just... This is the move. This move makes Chameleon or breaks Chameleon. It also is just a super jump, so it's just like you move. If you don't feel like being here, if you're like, well, round starts a terrible space for me, we're just gonna super jump over here. And we could even, you know, we can bluff it, we can juke you, we can make it safe. We can go, okay, I don't like being here, so I'm just gonna come in that way. I'm gonna fire a skull, and then I'm gonna make the super jump so that I don't have to play at this distance while you're in recovery. So use it for mix, use it for safety, use it for combos, use it for everything. Then the last move that the Kitana disguise gives us is her throw, and here it is. 110 damage, very average, 7 hit advantage, same as the Jade throw, and we are full screen, same as the Jade throw. It's basically just the worse version of the Jade throw. So, you get what you get, but there's nothing wrong with this throw. It puts us at a good distance and a good frame advantage. We were reasonably happy with it when we got it off of Jade. We're reasonably happy with it now. It just did less. So, it's probably not the thing you're going to be aiming for the most when you have the Kitana disguise in, because you have access to that super jump, and that's what you're going to be trying to use. But it's there. But it's definitely Chameleon's worst throw. So, my overall thoughts about Chameleon are that she is complicated to operate, but she is good. Every move in her kit is useful, especially for Shang. I think a lot of people don't have much of a use for Broken Mirror. I think that this move is only useful if you're a zoner and you're willing to trade hits. And zoners are the only people in the game who want to trade hits. Everybody else wants their own hits and wants to not get hit by you. Zoners are okay with trading. And Shang is a zoner, so we can use Broken Mirror to make those trades favorable, even when we're low on health. The reason she's complicated to operate is because of this timer switching between her disguises. Unfortunately, the timer seems to hit at just the wrong moment all the time. In training mode, you can definitely nail it down so that these timings are coming out perfectly, but the fact of the matter is that you, in a real game with your opponent's interference, you're going to mess this up, and you're going to get the wrong input sometimes. And normally, if you're using the summon inputs, if you're using her neutral Kameo inputs, this won't be that big of a deal because they all combo extend, they all reach full screen. Really, all of the applications that you might want to use these for, she will probably be fine. Whichever one you get will probably do the thing you meant for it to do, basically. But her ambushes, her forward cameos, they're pretty radically different, all of them. Glow is nowhere near the same as Super Jump, which is nowhere near the same as Side Toss. So, getting one of these when you meant to get another is always going to be bad. So you're going to have a very high degree of awareness about what disguise you are in, and you are often going to have to make sure that when you do this move, you hold this down and switch right now. And this will happen mid-combo, you're going to have to hold this down and switch. Or if you are if you're in the middle of a combo and you know you're going to need a particular move later, you're going to have to use Broken Mirror and then use the new form that she switched into during the combo after Broken Mirror. And you have to use Broken Mirror early to make sure you have access to it. So it is possible to control her. It's not just random. But it is difficult and requires more attention and more uses of your Kameo than other people do to get similar results. Now, all of her moves are great. It's just a struggle to use them with the proper timing. So, I think that we are going to see people try to crack open the secrets of Chameleon, particularly this super jump, which I think every single character in the game will find a great use for. I'm sure that General Shao can combo off his overhead using it. I'm sure that I'm almost sure that Raiko could combo off of his command grab with it. I'm confident there are many characters that can combo off their throws with it, including Liu Kang and Baraka. So I expect to see this being the most powerful single move that a Kameo has in the game at the moment. It is better than the Motaro and Lao teleports because jump canceling is better than just being on the other side of them with recovery. This has no recovery. We jump and we can do it whatever we can do in the air, and there's plenty of air options in this game. So I think everybody's going to find crazy jump cancel combos. And Shang has them too. Jump canceling your EX teleport, EX injection makes you continue the combo. And it will definitely take some thought and some practice to nail down how to use her effectively in a real match. And I think the only way to get that practice is to take her into real sets, because you do not know how your opponent is going to interfere with your Chameleon timing until you actually have an opponent interfering with your Chameleon timing. But I do think that when people get the hang of this and practice it a lot, we will see some very impressive Chameleon plays, because every one of her moves is good and useful. And I think that about covers it for Chameleon. If you liked the video, give me a like, a comment, a subscribe, and the title to your car. I'll see you in the next one.